Today, we're diving into a really powerful idea from the book of Colossians, this concept of Christ's preeminence, his supremacy over everything. But what on earth does that actually mean? Well, let's break it down. It all boils down to this one huge question. Who is Jesus Christ really? At his very core. The passage we're looking at today makes some claims that are so big, they honestly just force you to stop and think. All right, so here's our game plan. We're going to look at what it means to be the image of God, the firstborn of creation, and the head of the body. And then we'll see how all of these ideas connect to this one massive end goal, the reconciliation of all things. Okay, first up, image of the invisible God. Just think about that for a second. An image of something invisible. How does that even work? And let me tell you, this is way more than just some pretty language. It's a huge claim about making the divine totally visible. So when you and I hear the word image, our brains immediately jump to like a picture on our phone, right? A flat, static copy. But that's not what's going on here. The biblical context is so much richer. Think of it more like a living, breathing embodiment. The idea that in Jesus, God's character suddenly has a face and his thoughts have a voice. And honestly, Jesus couldn't have been more direct about it himself. He said, "He who has seen me has seen the Father." You can't get much clearer than that, right? That is the absolute heart of this whole image of the invisible God idea. It's a claim of perfect, complete revelation. All right, let's move on to the next title. And this one causes a lot of confusion. It's firstborn over all creation. Now, the most important thing to get right off the bat is that this is about rank, about status, not about time. Because naturally, you hear firstborn and you think, well, the first one born, the first thing created. It seems obvious, but believe it or not, that's a total misread of what the word means in this context. See, back then, firstborn wasn't just about birth order. It was a title. It was a position of supreme importance, of rank. It designated who held all the authority, who got the inheritance. It had almost nothing to do with who was actually born first. And you know what? We see this pop up in other places in the text. Look at Israel, called God's firstborn, even though plenty of other nations were around first. Or my favorite example, David. He's the youngest of 8 sons, and yet God calls him my firstborn. So it's crystal clear. This title is about importance, about being number one in rank, not number one on the timeline. Okay, on to our third big idea, and it's a powerful metaphor, Christ as the head of the body. This is all about his relationship to the church, framing him as the source of, well, everything. Its unity, its direction, its very life. It's a really simple picture, but it's got so much depth. The church is one body. And think about it. Any body needs a head, right? For direction, for life, to keep everything working together. The argument here is that Christ and only Christ can fill that role. And when you look at the comparison, it really hits home. A body without a head? That's just chaos. It's lifeless, directionless. But a body with a head? Now you've got guidance, unity, nourishment, growth. So the point is pretty stark. Without Christ, the church is just a bunch of random, disconnected pieces. With him, it becomes a single, living, breathing thing. Okay, so let's recap. Christ is the image of God. He's the firstborn of creation. He's the head of the body. That's a lot of huge titles. But why? What's the point of all this supremacy? Well, this last part is where we find out the ultimate goal. And it's all about reconciling, well, everything. So let's just pull all these threads together for a second. We're seeing this picture of Christ as the perfect representation of God, the one who actually created everything, the one who existed before anything, the head of the church, and the one who kicks off a whole new creation. You can't get more all-encompassing than that. And this right here is the climax. It's the big so what. Why all this power? Why all this authority? It all funnels down to this one incredible purpose: to reconcile everything back to God, to make peace through the cross. Now, you have to realize what a mind-blowing flip this is. The cross, this was a brutal Roman tool for torture and public humiliation. It was the ultimate symbol of shame. And this passage reframes it as the one thing that brings about universal peace. It's not a story of tragedy. It's presented as the greatest possible expression of God's love for literally everything.
It's exactly this kind of just sheer scale of the claims that led C.S. Lewis to come up with his famous trilemma. He basically said, look, a person who says things like this can't just be a nice guy, a great moral teacher. The claims are just too wild, too absolute. They force your hand. You have to make a choice about who this person is.
And really, that's what it all comes down to, isn't it? It leads us to this final, massive question. If any of this is actually true, if Christ really is the perfect image of God, the supreme ruler of all creation, the one who reconciles the entire universe, what on earth does that mean for you and me today? That's the question we're left to grapple with.